Good morning, everybody. Almost afternoon here. Happy Saturday. Welcome back. This is Blackheart 6. This is about take 16 on this video here that I'm doing. So yesterday we got our data that we needed to be able to create our height map and our sat map for QGIS. Okay, so we're going to go into QGIS. And so you see I got these projects here. I'm going to clear this, remove from list. Can't clear that. Okay. So you should have a blank template like this kind of when you bring it in because we haven't really done anything. So what the next step you want to do is go to your game trains. Okay. And it will bring up your game trains tool. Now, we're going to do an area of 6,000 meters by 6,000 meters. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I have some ocean around the area. I want to make sure that my island is going to fit inside that area in which is going to become my map. So I'm going to go a little larger than what the island actually is because it's a little longer than 4K in the, I think, the north-south axes versus the east-west. So I want to be a little bit bigger to make sure I'm going to cover everything. Down here in engines, you want to make sure that Arma is not selected and that you have Enfusion. Okay. Down in the satmap, and I'll show you this in a minute, you have the three choices of Google, Bing, and ArcGIS. From all the tutorials I've seen and read about, it says to use ArcGIS is the best. So we're going to use that. Zoom level is 17. You don't change that. Resolution is -1 pixel. No tiling, 4096, and then export satmap is checked. You go to your mask. You uncheck export mask if it's checked, and you have OSM based selected. And your height map, you have all three of these boxes checked. And if you're from the tutorials I've seen, if you're doing an island, okay, I've heard this two ways. One gentleman said, if you're doing an island, check this to lower the terrain to 0 so it'll be at the correct level when you bring it in. Another guy was doing an island. He had this unchecked. So I'm going to leave it checked because it just makes sense to me. Lower the terrain to 0 because it is an island. We want it to be sitting at basically sea level, I think, at that point. So we're going to leave it checked at 0. It's not going to be floating above the water. Roads, everything is unchecked. And then here, if you want to, you can hit clear cache. And the cache, not cache, it will clean up anything that is in that, and once that does that, that goes away. Okay, you can see it deleted 8 files that was sitting in the cache. All right, so that's it. You go back to your satmap. The next step you want to do is you want to add a satmap. Now I'm going to select Google, and I'm going to add satmap, and this is what you get. Looks pretty nice. All right. If you select Bing and go add satmap, this is what you get. A little bit different. I kind of like Bing though because it shows the underwater areas. And if you go to Arc, hit add satmap, this is what you get. So you can see I think you get a little bit better contrast on the terrain for the underneath there. Now, how do I know? Okay, where to mark my area. Okay, so yesterday we went into Google Maps and we copied the coordinates from Google Maps so we could paste them in the NASA website to move and get the data from the island. You want to do the same thing here. There is a plugin. Now, there's no tools that I know of, easy ones, to move around other than going in like this and scrolling in and finding where you're at. Now, it's easy with me because I have an island. But if you are up here in Greenland, and let's say for whatever reason you want to do this part of your terrain for your map, I don't know why you would do that, or maybe you want to do something over here and you want it to look like this and you want this to be your center. Well, you're not going to be able to find that exact point. So what you want to do is go to your Google Maps. Okay. Now, we know that we're going here to Saba Island. Okay, and it's going to take us there. And we did this yesterday, so this shouldn't be anything new to you. And then we right-click on it, and it brings up the coordinates. This is lat longitude. So we copy those coordinates, okay, into our clipboard, minimize that. And then what you want to do is get another plugin. Okay, I already have it installed. But basically, you go here and you look for lat long, okay? Lat long tools, it's called. And you want to install that plugin. And we already have it. And I'm going to turn it on, close. And you can see now that I have a set of icons up here. And I think this is a plugin bar that will show the plugins that are installed. You go to your zoom to coordinate. And it opens up a little window down here. And you paste in your coordinates from Google Maps. Hit enter, and it will take you to the terrain that you want to capture. All right. And then if we zoom in, put our mouse over the crosshair, it will go right into the terrain. Okay? So that's a little easier than trying to drive around the world and find the exact terrain. You don't have to use Google Earth. You can just do it all in Maps. Use that plug-in there, and it'll move you right there. Okay? The next thing you want to do is once you find your terrain, you have your crosshair on it. So you've added your satmap, and you've moved to this position. You want to mark the area. Okay? Click on that. Now you can see it says error. Please save the QGIS project before marking. All right. So if you go up here to your disk drive, you will save the project. It's going to come up, and I think this is something I did earlier. We don't want to use that. We're going to create a whole new folder, and we're going to call it BHS Island World. Do you still want this one? No. Do I have one in here? Oh, that's why. Okay, cancel. So we're going to save. Oh, I already have it saved here. I'm sorry. So let me get rid of that so we can recreate these steps. BHS underscore Island World. Okay. Then we're going to click on that. And then in here, we're going to give it the same name. All right. So now we have our project saved. Save, and it says BHS Island World. We can close that. And now we can say Mark Area. And then we click Mark Area, and we bring this in. And it should be that, I think it's the 6,000 meter area that we're doing. So we want to center it up as much as possible and drop it in place. And this is going to be the terrain that we grab. Okay? Now, the next thing you want to do is we've already have our height map. So we don't need to download the height map from here. What we want to do is bring it in from that file that we got from NASA. So we go to where our NASA file's at, and here's our zip file that we downloaded, and I expanded the zip file into a folder, and now there is a file in there called North 17 West 064. We take that file and we drag and drop it into our layers of our QGIS program. Close that, and you can see how the image changed. So if we uncheck it, it goes back to what the satmap looked like, and then we click it, it will turn it to that black and white grayscale image. All right. What you want to do is right-click on this and rename this file. Critical step, or layer it's called. You want to rename it GTT underscore height map. And that becomes our height map instead of using the import from the QGIS software. We're not downloading it, we're just creating it ourselves through that software. The next step you want to do is put it below your map extent. Okay? So it sees it inside. It's got to be below that terrain tools map extent file. Okay? That's that. So now we go through and we make sure, okay, we double check our settings. So 17, -1 pixel, 4096, export sitemap. Export mask is unchecked. Height map, we got them all checked, and we're using lower terrain to 0 because we're doing an island that's going to be surrounded by water. Roads, nothing checked on roads. And miscellaneous, we've already cleared the cache, so we don't need to do it again. All right. Next thing we want to do is we want to export this file. We want to export the satmap. So it's going to, you see it's creating that, it's creating a ping file. All right, it's going through. Some windows pop up. It's exporting the height map as GTT height map. Writing export done. It's still doing some things up here, so wait until it's completely finished. And this bar up here goes away because you can see it says exporting image, and so it's still doing some work. All right, that's done. Okay, we now have our exported height map and our sat map. Okay, we're going to save our project because you see it up here, it's not saved. All right, and that's where we're going to end it with this video. Then we're going to move over to our Arma Reforger, and we'll continue on with that. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.